Good afternoon. This is Marianna from Wow Women of Worth. We are today with Dr. Rana Al-Falaki. Hi, Rana. How are you doing?
Amazing. Thank you.
I like your enthusiasm. So, briefly introduce myself to whom doesn't know me. I am Marianna Penna. I am the founder and CEO of Wow Women of Worth. And why we are here? Because we are celebrating women in business throughout the month of International Women's Day. And we don't forget about it. So International Women's Day has gone 1 week ago, but as for who does know WOW, we support women throughout the year. And this year we are going to have fantastic time devoted to women for a theme called I Am Human. It's a sort of reminder for women themselves about the fact that we have to reconnect with ourselves, especially nowadays with the artificial intelligence, digital era. Actually, women, we are a little bit not tech savvy at all. So actually, this is making us more frustrated, but it's a reminder for us to say, look, we are human, so there are limitations. We have to embrace these limitations because we are not perfect. We can't be on top of everything all the time, say always the right things at the right time, because otherwise we are going to be like machines, and we are not machines if we think about artificial intelligence metaphor these days. So it's a reminder to stop and reconnect with ourselves in order to build community around us. So this is really the theme from WOW for 2024 festival. And as I was saying, is a way how we celebrated for the rest of this week what we have been doing for the previous month. So for this occasion, before I forget, I'm wearing my little heart, which is which is a piece of one of our wow women that is created this heart for this occasion. So Rana, tell us a little bit about you, what you do.
I prefer to say not what I do, but who I am. Because so often, I mean, that's part of it, right? The whole we are human story is because actually we're human beings. So who are we rather than what do we do? And that probably leads on to what I do because
Fantastic, sure, yeah.
so often I notice that what people put labels on themselves, particularly women, particularly people in the business field, executives, entrepreneurs. They put labels on themselves. So the minute you introduce yourself to someone, they'll tell you about all of their achievements, all of their accolades, and what they do for a living, rather than truly who they are. And when we're actually looking at how can you enjoy life more, how can you be more productive, how can you be happier, how can you be balanced, how can you be more joyful, it's actually about how do you connect with yourself and with the people around you. So that is what I do as an optimal performance strategist, is working with professionals, executives, leaders, business owners to achieve this place of optimal performance, which is really a sustainable form of omni performance, high performance in not just our careers, so we don't need that label, but also in our lives as human beings, to have joy and to have balance, because most of the time people actually just want to feel free and enjoy life. And a lot of the time, particularly in the business world, we get bogged down by doing rather than being.
Absolutely, you're absolutely right. Yeah, human doing instead of human being. So be what we are meant to be. So, tell me then how you are helping these women in order to have this optimal performance.
Well, I have a system, and system is about save yourself time, energy, and money. So we have a process and we have a system that consists of actually 38 components altogether, but 6 essential keys, which is really a phenomenal takeaway into how you can truly be whole, but also have that career success. And it's about really mastering your needs, your attitude, your integrity, your limitlessness, your intuition, and then tangibility about how to turn things into reality, which is, of course, I mean, that's the name of my company, Nail It. It's an acronym for those things. And we do that typically through what I call experiential training. No one wants to sit in a classroom or on an online Zoom call and someone just talk to you and tell you what to do. You have to experience it, because actually when you experience things, when you go through what we call simulations that mimic what you go through in everyday life, it highlights your blind spots. It highlights your coping mechanisms that are there every day, because we're all very busy, aren't we? So in being so busy all the time, you don't even notice how you're behaving or how you're showing up, because it becomes so automatic. Particularly with women, when it comes to having a lack of confidence, but then half the time they're not even aware that they don't have that confidence, or they're wearing a mask, or many hats syndrome, as I call it, and yet a lot of the time not even aware of it, because it becomes so automatic. So when you can highlight that, you can then do something with it. When it emerges through an exercise, it's like, there it is, and then immediately we will coach our clients around that, to then give them actions forward in order to shift. But nothing is in isolation. So when I talk about needs, it's boundaries is a massive thing, right? It's particularly with women, the need to communicate your needs, the need to honor your needs, because we always want to do everything for everybody. So where are those boundaries, so that we can preserve our own energy levels and actually do what serves us best, so that then we can serve other people? What is our attitude? How can we maintain our focus without worrying about the things that go wrong, and actually let's highlight on the things that go right and navigate our way to what it is we desire.
And I'm intrigued then, what is your journey you went through in order to do what you're doing now for these women?
Oh, thank you for asking, Mariana. Actually, a lot of it is very much the integrity piece, the identity piece. And for me, I was Superwoman, a very, very busy and very, very successful professional. I had my own business. I built it up from 3 members of the team to 11. I was then staying at work till 8 or 9 o'clock at night, a mother of 3 children, traveling around the world, speaking and lecturing. So that was every weekend when I didn't have my kids. Writing, publishing papers, researching. I had my finger in a million pies, and that made me feel good, because it actually gave me validation, because I was this incredible, world-renowned specialist. So, pat on the back, Rana, until eventually, things go wrong, right? We always get warning signs. As human beings, we get warning signs. The universe, if you like, is always trying to tell us something. And it's often from that pain or that failure that we learn. But a lot of the time, particularly when you're a busy professional, you choose not to learn, as in you navigate your way through, and it becomes very British, I should say this term, stiff upper lip, and you get on with life. You forget it, you ignore it, until eventually the pain is so severe. So for me, I got to the point where I was walking home one day and I couldn't walk anymore. My legs gave up. My heart rate was crazy. I was in so much pain in my body, and my legs would not move. And I just sat on that wall, and tears running down my eyes, because I couldn't do anything. And I'm a doer. And my kids were really young at the time and were waiting for me, because the school bus had dropped them off. So they were alone in this car park by themselves. And I remember holding my phone and thinking, who can I call? And I had a lot of friends, but I daren't call a single one of them to ask for help, because that would be exposing a weakness. And I didn't want to call my partner. And at that point, it was like everything that I had buried in my life. And, as a woman, I'd gone back to work the day after burying a dead baby. I'd had 5 miscarriages and gone back to work the next day after every one of those. I'd gone through a divorce. I'd gone through multiple house moves. I'd been abused in my childhood. All of this stuff that I had never, ever really dealt with. And I guess in a way, I now see it as a gift, because the universe gave me this gift that in the end, a cardiologist did diagnose me with a condition. And he gave me 3 months. He said, Joanna, you have 3 months to sort yourself out. And if you don't, you're going to be on lifetime meds. And this condition, when I read about it, is called POTS. So women do suffer from it quite a lot. They often discover it in pregnancy, actually, because they get this increased heart rate. And I discovered at that point that, well, my life was going to change. I might not be able to do the career that I wanted to do. I'd already gone through this phase after sitting on the wall of not being able to get up to get to work. And needing to actually leave my patients in the middle of treating them to go and lie down on the floor lest I pass out. So, and I just bought a townhouse and was told that you're probably going to need to buy a bungalow because you're not going to be able to manage stairs. And I remember kind of not even being able to get annoyed with my kids, which of course they loved. But if I got stressed out, I'd then be on the floor fainting. So I had 3 months, and that is from which Nail It was born. I finally listened to myself, owned who I was, did the work. And of course, now I've created it into a system that is easy to follow. But everything that I share within the system is what got me back to the point where within 3 months, the cardiologist said, I don't know what you've done, but I don't need to see you again. And then I made decisions, I made decisions determining that I could still be a leader, but I didn't need the labels. So I actually became even more productive, go figure, having not fighting so much and just allowing myself to go with that flow. It's a little bit like, when you're swimming. And when you first start swimming as a child, you're splashing around and you're using so much energy. And yet sometimes you go to a swimming pool, you see people in the swimming lanes and they're just gliding through, right? Using much less energy and getting there much faster. And that's what I help people do now, because that's what I'm able to do. So I actually ended up selling my business, but only after I doubled the turnover within the space of a year. And now I have nourishing, flourishing relationships that are so strong and far more successful in business and in life, because I have that balance, I have boundaries, I have communication. So yeah, everything I help people with is what I had to do for myself. And of course, I see it so often in women, particularly the boundaries piece.
I love it. Thank you very much for sharing this. So intense, and there is a lot in it. And I think a lot of women can relate. Maybe not at that stage, but some of them definitely at that stage. But any stage is relevant, and every life counts. So even for little symptoms that can become bigger, because we don't see them, they can become something huge that's happened to you. So
well, there's always a niggle, right? So in my case, my niggle was my health. That was like my wake-up call. But for other people, for other business women in business, it may be, their relationships. It may be what's going on with their children. So often when we get to this midlife stage, it's this triad. There is so much stress, either related to their kids, their partners, or their parents, or their financial life is suffering, or their business is suffering. So there are niggles and warning signs in so much. The thing is, so often we choose not to listen to it until it becomes catastrophic.
Fantastic. Yeah. And now you are talking about middle age, and something that is very interesting for a lot of women in the middle age. Also, you help through that stage that for the menopause, aren't you?
Yeah, so I mean, we work specifically with people in that midlife stage, possibly because that was my stage, because you get to a point in life where it catches up with you. And so often it is when you get into those 40s and 50s. And through my years of actually working with patients. So my background is as a periodontist, so a surgeon dealing with chronic disease to do with gum disease, which is linked to heart disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's, all other severe illnesses. But it's very much also linked to lifestyle choices, personality, how people deal with stress. So I've spent 25 years really tapping into the mindset and the behavior of my patients, and then needing to shift that to get them to change. So in that, you hear a lot of stories, and so often I would see my patients as they entered and started to go through menopause, things that they used to deal with in everyday life that suddenly they couldn't deal with anymore. And like I said, there is this triad of getting to this age where suddenly you've got the teenage kids, you've got the partner, and you've got the parents, that adds huge stress. but situations where they're leaving their jobs or packing up because they just cannot cope anymore. The level of anxiety becomes huge. Their bodies start to change. So from a health point of view, we see more gum disease, but also, their physicality changes, their eating habits often alter, but they don't look the same in the mirror anymore, and they have to come to terms with that and still love themselves and go a little bit deeper about who it is they actually are. And then there's the brain fog and the becoming possibly less productive and less decisive. And that all feeds more and more onto actually causing more and more anxiety, because you're getting frustrated thinking, why can't I do what I used to do? Why can't I be the person I used to be? So the trick is actually, you don't have to be the person you used to be, because actually you can grow with the universe. You can actually be more. When you look back, you need to go back to go forwards, because you need to fix stuff in the past, but actually it's a mindset switch, and that's what we do with our clients. There's some fascinating research that we work with that came out of Stanford University about how to deal with stress. So it's not just the behavioral things of, meditate, breathing exercises, emotional regulation, which is a big part of Nail It Emotional Intelligence, but it's also it's what you do with your mind and how you deal with stress. And that's one of the things we have in our systems about stress-free. So it's how you view stress. So they've done some amazing research. Actually, if you view stress as debilitating, as what you tell yourself, this situation is going to be so stressful, it's going to be a nightmare, I'm dreading going into this scenario, it actually biologically and behaviorally sets you up to experience even more stress. Whereas you could have exactly the same scenario, but by changing your viewpoint, so it's how you perceive stress, you actually thrive far more through the situation. So a lot of the things we do with our women who are in that midlife is needing to be very individual and personalized to them, their circumstances, what's going on for them in their business, in their work, in their relationships. And like I said, through these exercises, it draws up the specifics so that we can then start shifting their belief systems and then starting to adopt effective habits. And when I talk about habits aren't just what you do, it's what you think. Micro habits, every little thing that you tell yourself. So what habits need to change in order to thrive, in order to blossom, in order to grow from that stress and anxiety, rather than allow it to crush you?
Wow. Yeah, and a program like that, because you said people don't want to spend too much time doing always studying, in the sense that they want to grasp also solutions. So how do you structure your program?
Actually, it's in person. I am a people person, and we spend so much time online. So we start off with actually what we call a 3-day boot camp. It's an elite triple mastery boot camp, because you are mastering happiness, joy, and productivity, and everything that comes with that. So it's 3 full days from a Friday through to a Sunday, taking you through these exercises and challenges. It's always a small group, but then the exercises are sometimes individual, sometimes paired, sometimes in threes. And then after you do each exercise, like I said, we then coach you so that you get that personalized coaching training, so that you have that action. So we spend 3 days going through all these kind of multifaceted, integrated parts of this system, the 38 parts. Part of it is story as well, using your story to your advantage to make you more resilient. A lot of it is communication. We'll then do a lot of assessments around how your attitude, your behavior, your personality types, your trust levels, where there's conflict, if you work in teams, how to improve team dynamics for your own personal development. So we have a lot of different assessments that we do at the same time. And then at the end of the 3 days, obviously there's always an option to do more and go on to a 1-year program. But again, that's more one-to-one, but then we always like to put in the experiential, because we learn so much from other people. So when you're in an environment where you're with like-minded individuals, you learn from them. It creates a beautiful, wonderful bond, a camaraderie, an intimacy. So you form those lifetime connections as well as your own personal growth.
Yeah, this is, you see, I don't know if you can read the worth of women unfolds through connections. This is all is about
So
for
much.
us. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
because the connection. So we are talking about the human element, and you are telling me something that is fascinating and how relevant is for us for our day-to-day job, working with women that they want to build their business, they want to grow, but to grow, as you said, you need to connect with yourself. Otherwise, it's all. But I totally see what you're saying about the fact that, especially when in the middle age, our body is changing, and we look back and say, I have never been like this. I was able to lose. But that is really critical moment for because you can't recognize yourself as you were before. And despite everybody saying embrace it, but getting through that phase is really, really something, because it's like it's projecting yourself in the mirror. The person there is not you. You can't recognize yourself. And it's not only because of if you put some little weight on, but actually not being able to lose it as you were able before. So changing your metabolism, your hormones, it's not only physical, it's emotional side, which is affecting the person altogether. And doesn't matter how strong you are you able to accept it, still can affect your performance or self-esteem in a way, because you're thinking that the others can see you the way you see yourself, which has changed, and you are not comfortable in those clothes anymore. So do you help then, for sure, I guess through your program, helping these women going through this phase, but how do you actually help them in order to get over this phase, or embracing it in order not to feel to fight themselves? Because I think that is really the key, fighting with yourself, and you can win when you fight yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what you touched on there, it's about being out of control, right? Because it's what you used to do isn't working. So even the way that you exercise when you get to a certain age has to change. The foods that you eat when you get to a certain age has to change. The way that you communicate when you get to that age has to change. And it's not about embracing it, actually. That's what I don't advocate that, because I think, to me, embracing it, accepting it, is about tolerating. And I don't think we have to tolerate. We don't have to tolerate. We don't have to settle. We don't have to compromise. We can still keep reaching for the stars. So the issue is back to the human being element, right? It's, who are you at your core? What is your integrity? What's your passion? What's your purpose? What's your driver? How can you connect to yourself? How can you trust? How can you listen to your intuition? Because that is the most powerful decision maker that you have. How can you navigate through adversity? How can you communicate your needs? And what daily practices can you have in order to achieve your goals and align your goals with the you that you are, so that they're interesting, fascinating, fun goals, instead of the boring stuff that you don't really want to achieve. And so it's not about embracing, but it is about regaining control.
Wow, that I love it, because I totally see, yeah, where you're coming from when you say embrace. I am with you. It's like, I am what I am, fine, but you are where you are. But doesn't mean, if you accept it and you don't go beyond your comfort zone, you will never grow. And this is the same. The fact that this is a no. If you can change something that you think you deserve to change, you have to do it, not just unless it's out of control, in the sense that it doesn't depend on you. Then in that case, okay, you embrace it and you make the most of it. But if it's you, it's about you, and you can do something, you need to pick up the pieces and go.
And let's just talk for a minute about that, the neuroplasticity of what happens. And actually, I wrote about this in my first book I think there was the chapter on health and diet and nutrition, and talking about when women would get to menopause. they automatically are already programmed from belief systems that we see in society that you're going to put on weight. Now, what you don't notice is that by accepting that, you actually, believe it or not, you end up eating the wrong things that do not agree with your body for someone your age and your metabolism. So actually, you shift your habits into what you're already telling yourself that you're going to put on weight. And you change the neuroplasticity within your brain and then your body and your metabolism. So you do put on more weight.
Wow. Unbelievable.
Well, it starts, and that's just one example about the weight thing, right? But and let's not, if we're getting a little bit more graphic about women in menopause, obviously there's the biological thing, and we talk about periods stopping, but actually they don't just stop. It's not that much of a blessing a lot of the time. So there are women who can lose a lot of confidence because they have flooding and they're embarrassed to go out. So there's a lot of biological issues that can contribute to that loss of confidence and also loss of identity. And so that's why it's so personalized and individual to what's going on with every single person. But if you go into this phase in dread, the same way as, okay, like when you're a kid, right? You tell your child, jump in the swimming pool, come on, just go for it. And a lot of the time children will. But as we get older, we're much less likely to go for it. We get instilled by hesitations and fears.
Yeah.
And so it's the same with menopause. We're in this state of dread. Oh my God, I'm dreading going there. I don't want to go there. These awful things are going to happen to me. Well, what happens in every other part of your life when you're expecting awful things to happen to you? They will happen to you.
Sure.
So how can we change that mindset to say, you know what, I'm going into this incredible phase of my life. I'm going to be even more successful. I'm going to have even more freedom because my kids are going to be a bit older. I'm more financially stable. I'm going to be even happier. Bring it on.
Yeah, brilliant.
And you're
I love it.
Yeah, who's 50 years old.
Again?
Says a woman who's 50 years old.
You don't look that. Anyway, it's nothing wrong about it, but you definitely don't look that at all.
No, but I walk the talk is
Yeah.
the point. That's the point. It's and that's how you get your energy, not just by what you eat. And of course, sleep is really important. And at this age, yes, sleep does get fractured and broken, and therefore, again, there are nutritional supplements, behavior, exercise that we can help people with. But then it's the energy that you have because you're not allowing yourself to be drained by other people or thought processes or circumstances, because we train people to navigate through that in an effortless way. So your energy is sky high already.
Yeah, brilliant. I love it. I will talk to you, hours
all day long. Yes, I know.
Exactly. Especially being, tuned with the age group. Never mind. I would like you to tell me if you could pick up a word that could be your mantra or your intention for the year and inspire the women, lead the women that you look after. What would it be?
So I always try to turn the negative into a positive, because the first thing that comes is to say, don't give up, but then that's a don't. So you never want to set an intention that is what you're not going to do. It needs to be the opposite, which means just keep going. Don't let anything stop you. Just keep going. And that's always my mantra. When I come up with challenges, when I come up with ideas of like, oh, maybe I should give up, maybe this isn't the way I'm supposed to go, maybe the universe is telling me I should do something else, and yet in my gut, actually, I know this is what I should be doing, and I know this is what I really want. Yes, challenges come in your way, but they're all learning opportunities. So just keep going, one step at a time.
Fantastic. Rana, so where can we find you? Are you on LinkedIn?
You can absolutely track me down on LinkedIn, and then you can also message me directly through my website, which is www.nail-it.uk.
Brilliant. Okay, so I hope to see you. I know I'm going to see you again because we are doing something together soon, and hopefully I'm going to see you again on Wow channels and discuss more about Nail It.
Nail It, yeah, the human condition.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you very much, Rana. It was lovely talking to you, and I'll see you soon.
You too. Thanks for having me.
A pleasure. Bye.
Bye.